Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Rockin the Love. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and we are happy to be with you this last Wednesday of February 2024.
We are so happy. I am so happy. We are, I am so happy. No, I really am so happy.
Okay.
Um, we are a married couple. If you haven't watched the show before, we are a married couple. However, we live apart. We live in two different states. I am in California.
And I am in New Mexico,
And
where the
so
sun shines a lot, but the air gets cold.
if you are going to quote that, that's an original quote, if you could. All right. Well, anyway, so here we are. If you're joining us for the first time, we'd love it if you liked our page or checked us out on YouTube, social media, and join us and comment in the comments where you're from. Let us know you're out there. We are very excited for our show today. It is called Ageless Love. Yay. I'm a
Yummy.
hopeless romantic, so I like to think it's all ageless love, right?
Well, I want to welcome Shay. Thanks for coming by again today. We're great to see you out there.
Yay,
Woo.
Shay. Well, not only is Shay coming by, she apparently is my birthday mate. So she had a February birthday as well last week. I had a birthday this week. And so happy birthday, February Pisces. Yay. Okay, that's my thing.
Okay, that's the birthday thing. Okay. Tell them what else you got. Tell them what you got for your birthday.
COVID.
That's it.
It's my gift from the world. So if I'm a little loopy today, I got COVID. Yay. Whatever. What
Yeah.
do you do with that? It was, it's so interesting to be traveling. And we spent the last week traveling, going to South Carolina. And, on some level, I swear to you, I knew this was going to happen. Like when I went in the airport, I was like, oh, I didn't bring my mask. I was like, yeah, well, and I knew. I knew. I was like, okay. And then, yeah, someone at the conference we were at got COVID, and then we had the honor of doing a fireside chat, one of our New Thought Media shows on Friday night with our fabulous producer, Michael Mangus. And I sat down to do it, and I was like, my throat hurts. And there it was. Big, bad COVID right there. So, yeah, it's okay. It feels like a cold. It's like, but you say COVID, and I feel like I have, the plague or something. It just sounds so heavy. But it's just a thing.
It's just a thing. But you didn't feel very well on Friday night, Saturday. That was a bummer. But hey, we all made it. You made it home. I made it here. Everybody's safe. It's good. It's good. So last week we weren't. We did a repeat show, which we've only done 2 or 3 times. But because we were at a conference and otherwise busy the whole week, it was very, very enlightening conference for the Centers for Spiritual Living. We had a lot of insights and challenges and all kinds of things. That was really good. Hi, Myrna. And we got to meet Myrna in person in Dallas.
We did. Aha. Oh, yeah, we should put up a picture. We did with that, which was so great. It was so fun. We had a layover in Dallas, and Myrna and her family rushed to the airport with lunch and her adorable child, and it was great. A good time was had by all.
The award-winning Myrna.
And it's so true. Oh, look, we have Rev Verona out there as well.
All right, Rev.
Stay in the neighborhood. Yeah, Myrna, at the conference we were at, Myrna actually won an award. So congratulations. We have another award winner on our show today. So you'll be in good company.
From a previous year. That's right.
We have the award-winning Laura Topper joining us today. So it's just, we're all award winners, but those are the ones we're highlighting today. So go ahead. What were you going to say?
Mm. No, just that it's been a good week. How did you feel about the week and our time, being together and being with all the other people, and what was it like for you?
Well, the Centers for Spiritual Living Conference was in Charleston, South Carolina, for those of you that don't know. I think, all in all, in a brief review, I would say it was one of the best conferences yet. I think it was very inclusive. I think it had, all kinds of different things for people to do and to talk about. And, I feel like the current leadership is very transparent and really, working to make this an organization and a world that works for all, and really conscious of that by creating participation and openings for people to do that instead of just telling us how to do it or trying to do it themselves or something like that. And so, I mean, all in all, I think the conference was good. I had my own hesitations about. We took a trip to the African American Museum, and there is a piece of me that, as an African American woman, felt like, oh, I really don't need to see this or hear this or experience this again. I get it. I've been there. I've gotten through it, and have my own feelings about my own family's journey and things like that. But it felt powerful and empowering to people, and I think it was coupled with um, our presentation from the night before, where they had. Uh, can you explain what they had? Like a church group? Is it church group? The
The
Gilichis doing.
Gilligichi, which is sort of a group of people which have kind of maintained a certain connection and created their own culture there in the lowlands of South Carolina. And so we had a woman that has come up in that and then studied a lot of the stuff and done music. And so she brought a choir with her, and they sang very well, relatively traditional type Christian songs. And the beauty was that through that, because of their intentionality and their love and all that was coming through, that everybody was just having a great time. It was great.
It was beautiful. I mean, everybody was on their feet singing, praising Jesus. Which is not. I mean, that's great. I mean, if we're really going to talk about oneness and inclusion, but I mean, it was real. It was all real. It wasn't like a performance piece. Like, oh, look at those people. It was
Oh,
like we
yeah.
embodied their spirit, right?
Yeah, they didn't come to perform either. They came to share.
Exactly.
I mean, they were great performers in a certain way, but even she was very charismatic and all that, but they were just being themselves
Yeah.
and sharing that and talking a little bit about where this come from. Is primarily Africans that were transported here that kind of maintain this certain culture in that small area of South Carolina, which is all very interesting. I
Right.
wasn't aware of it at all, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. So it was a great week. Unfortunately, um, yeah, I spent a lot of time at the conference, and when it was finally time, Gil and I were so intentional that we booked an extra day so we could relax and have time together and all of that. And boom, I got COVID. so that was kind of didn't happen in the way that we planned. And apparently, neither is this broadcast because I don't see him. So I'm going to just go on, and I'm going to tell you about this portion of our show, which is the good news. So I'm going to start the good news and hope that Gil will come back into the room. Um, but the good news portion is really where we talk about what's good in the world, because it's so easy to find what's not good and find people that want to talk about that. But there's also so much going on in the world that's good. So what I found was something that I think is just brilliant. And apparently it's gone on in Seattle. And but this is a story about a place in England. Yes, in honor of our guest today coming to us live from the UK. But it's about a story about in this dementia care home. There they opened it up to a preschool. So
Mm.
there is a preschool along with the dementia care, and so the participants are I mean the elders that are there are living with them, painting with them, taking classes with them in the day, storytelling with them, doing all of that, which enhances their ability to stay present and to not move into dementia. Welcome back, Gil. Um, yeah, so that's my story. I think that's so great. I think it's so great. It's like it takes a village to raise a child, but in this case, the child is raising the village. So I just think it's so beautiful, and like such a good use of resources, because children also learn so much from their elders, and so many kids don't have their grandparents or any of that. So I can only imagine that it is a win-win for everyone, and the elders get to use some of their skills, like drawing and art and things that they've enjoyed along the years, or music and singing. And so I think it's a good full circle of resources. That's my
You
good news.
It sounds very, at the conference, we talked a lot about diversity and equity and inclusion. And the thing about diversity is, and we know this from environments and all of that, that when the diversity increases, the overall health increases. And that's what you see there is you instead of compartmentalizing these times in life and these persons, you bring them together and allow the strengths of each to come together, and you get something totally new.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Well,
And you?
I have a little story. Um, it actually reminded me of something I'd heard at a conference. It was a little bit different, but similar idea. Um, so recently, a woman who had been in a coma for 5 years in Rapids was came out of her coma, and she is now doing fine. However, her mother had been by her side, helping take care of her kids, being there with her for the last 5 years. And within the first short amount of time, she had an accident, a car accident, and went into a coma. They were telling her, the longer she's in the coma, the less likely anything's going to happen. And she's really not. You don't need to. We need to do something different. And your daughter's never going to really recover. And so she said to the nurse, "Don't ever say that to me again, and don't ever say that in front of my daughter." And she just continued knowing that her daughter just needed to be loved and cared for, and eventually, whatever the processes were in her body, they would catch up with that, and she would be okay. And that happened, but it took 5 years. That's dedication. It really is. And it's all about the principles we talk about. It's seeing beyond the appearance. It's beyond the appearance. Yeah, the appearance is pretty bleak in a situation like that. You know, but how cool that this mother had presence of mind to say, no, we're not going to go negative on this. We're going to stick to what's possible.
Yeah, standing in the truth of what's possible. and really
Yep.
knowing that. I mean, and that's part of what we try to do in this philosophy and this spiritual journey is
Mhm.
hold that hold that thought and yeah,
So speaking of possible,
yeah.
how does that fit in with our topic today, you think?
Well, I it's possible to be married going on 45 years. One of our couple,
Wow.
Susan and Christopher Brown from Oakland, California, has, you know, that's a long time. That's
You
a
look
long
pained.
time. Well, yeah, I am pained. Sometimes 45 minutes is a long time. I mean, 45 years, that's talk about standing in the truth. Because, there's moments where, I mean, let's be real. There's moments, I'm sure, in any relationship, I will speak from the eye. There's moments in our relationship or any relationship I've been in where, yeah, there's times where I want to go, that's it. I got to go. I'm taking my toys and I'm going, you know? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I do like to take my toys and go, but I'm just saying, it's a lot, and it's a lot to stay. And then we have the other side of the coin, our newlyweds, that aren't as new as they were, but a year and a half in, which a year and a half, I remember it a year and a half, 2 years thinking, oh, we're not newlyweds anymore. But 20 years later, I'm like, newlyweds, that's new. That's new. I mean, that's like young spring chickens.
Well, and just you note these are our friends Jason and Laura from the UK. So we have kind of a special treat today to have people from all different places hanging out with us. So
Well, that's what we're about, global inclusion. So marriage is marriage. Wherever you are, join in. And we're going to come right back here in a few minutes and learn about this ageless love, some of the secrets maybe they'll let us in on, and see what happens. All right, so join us right back here on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
It was a treat. It was a bonding. It was a celebration of men. It was a celebration of men who want to deepen in their spiritual awareness of one another, of themselves.
Welcome. We are a brotherhood of spiritually minded and open-hearted positive men. We invite you to join us.
And I came in knowing one person. I left knowing all of the group. And I feel like I came in knowing meeting strangers, but knowing and leaving brothers.
Come experience the New Thought Men's Gathering, Foundations 2024. Friday, March 15th through Sunday, March 17th. With Reverend Robert Brzezinski, Reverend Patrick Creelman, Reverend Eamon Duffy, and special guest musician Jamie Lula. In Vernonia, Oregon, at Camp Cedar Ridge. Learn more and register at www.newthoughtmens.community.
And we're back right here on Rockin the Love. I'm Robyn Rice Olmsted.
And I am Gil William Olmsted, and I am truly happy to be with you today as we talk about ageless love.
Yes.
It's so fun because we get to share this show with some friends who have taught us a lot, certainly taught me a lot. So, you know, it doesn't really matter where we are in this journey. We still have a lot to teach each other. And at the same time, I think it's fun to sort of talk about being in relationships at different points. And so that's what we're going to get to do today. So, shall we bring some people on?
Let's bring some people on. I agree with you. We could introduce them by saying that, you know, Susan is a yoga teacher and Laura is an amazing CEO of her own company and all those things. But we'll tell you about that during our talk, I think, because they're just so much more than that. So welcome. Welcome. And just so you know, Susan and Christopher are married, even though they're not in a box together.
Yes, they have expanded beyond the box.
That's right.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Thinking out of the
But
oh,
that starting point kind of tends to be the box sometimes, you know. But it's so much fun to be in there and cuddled up at first, and then when you get to be like Christopher and you turn into a badger, you know, it's probably safer for Susan to be a little in the other box.
All right. So before we go too far, our thought for today's show is, you know, the end of February, we thought we'd come around to the topic of love and really look at people, like Gil said, that have inspired us and that are truly rocking the love. And we wanted to do the different extremes of that in marriage and partnership and what it takes. And I don't know, just see what comes up. Because I think there's a lot of wisdom and a lot of desire to hear from, you know, what's working and different things. So that said, oh, look who's here. We've got John out there and we've got our doula for grief out there. Hello, Bonnie. Hello, John. Thank you for joining us. So great to have you. So let's start. Let's just start with what do you all think is the key to a successful marriage, relationship, partnership? Any one of those you want to tackle?
Well, I'll start by saying, if I operate out of the past, it's a doomed relationship. That it's really important to see Susan this day rather than thinking of Susan 45 years ago and why isn't she? And it's like the comparison is so, it's like, and I have to work on dropping that comparison, because I think so much about relationship and where the things get tough is I am expecting my partner to be a certain way. And that's not happening today. She is doing something else today, or I am doing something else today that is not what she expected. And so, giving ourselves the wiggle room for that, but also not being attached or married to the past and the past behavior, so that there's a bigger field in which to operate, because we will run around the field, and just in whatever we do.
Yeah, thank you, Christopher. I think that's a really, really important point, for a number of reasons, but one of them is, as you said, not expecting someone to be, who we've already made them up to be before. And the other thing is, well, I guess maybe it's the same thing. It's whether that's positive or negative, it doesn't really matter. It still doesn't work. So whether we're holding on to something and holding a grudge against the other person, or whether we're just wanting to be something that they've grown into a new direction from, either way, doesn't really matter. Giving that space, that's powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very powerful. And I, as you're saying that, I would like to even just add, not only who giving them that space from who they've been or what where you're coming from, but sometimes, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but sometimes we're not judging them as who they are. It's our mother or our former wife or our whoever that's come into the relationship. So like really realigning and seeing the person anew, and really, I think that's really powerful.
So speaking of persons anew,
could I add to that?
No, you can add to that.
One of the old people, the ageless. Adaptability is really important, and being willing to listen, even if you don't want to hear what the other person is saying. So a willingness to continue in the, I think to be together this long, we can't just camp out in our own spot and stick with that and say, I want you to do it my way. Because, well, I've tried that. It doesn't work. And so being adaptable, willing to listen, and actually speaking up when things aren't working for me, so that Christopher knows that, and he's willing to listen. So so those are two really important things as a couple. So that all is communication, being willing to communicate no matter what stage either one of us is in. We're not always successful at that, but that's what I attempt to do.
Well, most of the rest of us are super successful at that. So, I'm sorry.
Of course, but I figured that.
How about you, Laura and Jason? How long were you together before you were married?
Hi.
Hello.
Well,
We've just celebrated our 10th anniversary of being together for 10 years. 23rd of February.
Wow!
Yeah.
Congratulations.
10 years.
Okay, so you guys aren't so new. You just didn't get married right away.
And we've had a lot of interesting experiences.
It's been an interesting journey, hasn't it?
It has. It has.
So in that space,
Communication.
Sorry, there's a little lag. So I think
Okay.
Laura and Jason are trying to say something, Gil.
Yeah.
So shall I?
You say.
Okay, thank you. So for me, the piece that was really challenging for me was getting married. I don't mean the actual getting married. I mean, my understanding after we were married of what marriage means, because I had created my mind I should be as a married person. And it took me a while to understand that I could make it up in my way. And I didn't have to have the stereotype of what I had been used to with my parents, my grandparents, society, and all of that. So I think being loving to myself, that's a key thing here, is loving myself, accepting myself. And when I got that, something amazing, because I was the artist. I could create
Relax.
this. I could relax, and that and to treat this marriage as I love what you said about the, you choosing. I choose this every day. I choose to be here and to treat this as a spiritual practice for myself. And that what I'm seeing and experiencing with Jason is my opportunity to look at me and to see where I can play, that I can grow or dissolve beliefs and all of that, and to have fun with this, rather than it having to be something that is a stereotype. Yeah,
That's beautiful. And Bonnie said Tito and her have been together 21 years, and she said respect is the key, and having fun together is vital for them. So it's absolutely fun. I'm all for fun.
Do you ever what silly things
So we come together once a week. We try to do it Saturday afternoon, and if either of us have got anything that's bothering us or we're concerned about, we just sit there and talk it out, listen to each other. We've got a crystal heart, and one of us holds the crystal heart to speak, and the other person doesn't speak until they get the heart. So then we pass it on when we're finished, and we just communicate that it just saves any kind of misunderstandings or any arguments. There's no need to argue if you just communicate with each other.
Although we do have a few arguments. A good argument is quite healthy, I think. Now and then.
Oh, thank you, Laura, for saying that. I feel so much better now.
It can be healthy.
Susan's right. Communication is key.
Yeah.
So we have a question from our producer that is saying he facilitates premarital counseling for couples. And what are the keys to a long-term marriage?
Friend Susan.
So a willingness to step in. Well, I'm thinking of raising kids. So we have 2 boys, and they're wonderful adults and out on their own. But having not only us communicate, but be able to communicate with our kids and actually try to give a similar message, for example. So that's one thing. And just, well, you call us Rockin the Love. And so just being, and just thinking of them, I'm getting a little teary because they turned out so good. And I don't take credit for that. But we have open communication. So I think I'm back to communication, and really like spending time together. And I think we're extremely lucky in that. And also, if there's a long period when they're off doing their own thing, we're not going to say, "Hey, we haven't heard from you." You know, they're adults, and just have them be who they are and support that. And we, Christopher and I, have always been pretty good together about agreeing on how we want to handle certain situations with the kids. And now we're lucky to have grandkids. And so our role is much better. I can go pick them up today and we can play. And it's a whole different, it's a whole different experience. But it's wonderful to have grandkids too.
Indeed.
Together.
I want to say that both of us had starter spouses. This is our second marriage, which I think is really important because I realized that I took myself into both relationships. And so I was the common denominator. And so getting married to Susan, I made a bond, not to Susan, but to myself. And the self was that I'm going to see this through all the way to the death. There is no wiggle room. There is no divorce. I have burnt my boat. I am on this island or whatever. There's no way off. There's no way out. Because before, it's like we enter into relationships. Well, if it gets tough, I can always bail. But when you burn your bridges, when you burn your boat and you've scuttled your aircraft, there's no way off the island. That's it. And so with that in mind, everything moving forward needs to have a resolution. If we're going to work together, there needs to be a resolution. I can't put my needs first all the time. I have to look at the big picture, always. Yes, I have needs, Susan has needs, but there has to be that balance. And when I don't get my perceived, when I get upset or whatever, and I'm not feeling appreciated or this or that, that's my problem. That's not Susan's problem. That's my problem. And I really have to take a look at how am I being right now? You know, how am I being? Am I being in the past? Am I being in expectation? Am I projecting my wanting Susan to be different onto her when that's not the case? And so I really have to come back to, this is always an inside job. And what am I demanding out of Susan that's making me so upset? I'm the one that's demanding it. I need to back off, buddy, and to let Susan be Susan and to kind of open it up again. And I might need help in that because I might be, you know, I just, and that those are old patterns. From where we are right now, it's pretty easy. It really is pretty easy. We work as a team really, really well. Quick example of that was the cat had poop all over his butt this morning.
I was going to mention that one.
All over. And, you know, it's like, you know, Susan, we just, okay, let's do it. Boom. And out came the towels and into the sink and the cat's wow, and, you know, and everything's flying. But it was a team, an absolute team. And there was total trust. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to say is that there's total trust that we, whatever comes up, that we can work it out. And we can work it out all the way to the end. And sure, that's a commitment. I mean, and it's not a commitment to the other, it's a commitment to yourself.
Beautiful. I think that I think one of the key things you said is balance. And I think really finding the balance in all of that, because I think, and we may be differing of opinion on this, Christopher, but I think that there's a space where yes, it's me, and yes, it's an inside job, and yes, I have to acknowledge that, but I feel as a partner that I'm also there to support and facilitate the transition for my partner with ease and grace, and also with an acknowledgement that whether it's right or wrong, just an awareness of what's happening. So if I see, Gil, well, let's just go with this week. If there's a moment where I ask Gil a question and he jumps down my throat, I'm like, okay, I get the backstory. I know he's triggered because I asked him a question that he doesn't have the answer to right there, and he feels like he's letting me down, and he should know this, and why don't I know it? You should know. I know the story because I've been there for 22 years. So I know his story, but I also know in that moment for me, it's important for me to speak my truth about how that lands and how that affects me, And so I think it's really finding that balance of like what Jason and Laura were saying too, of like, whether you sit down on Saturday and you have a conversation about the week and if something's come up, or, Susan was speaking to it a little too, the communication. It's being aware. Like one of the things that came up at the conference, and y'all will have heard this in many different ways, but somebody was talking about the process they use is called ouch and oops. And the person means that if a person comes to you and says, basically they're going to say, I have an ouch, and they're going to tell you this hurt my feelings, this affected me this way, this, whatever their experience is, whatever's going on for them. And then it's the other person's job to take the oops and say, oops, I never, I didn't know that it affected you that way, and to really recognize the situation. And it's not making anybody bad or wrong. It's more of an awareness, and so much of the time, like, I know y'all have heard me say this on the show before, I find myself going, Gil, I'm on your team. I'm not trying to do anything to you. I just want to know if you deposited the money in the bank or whatever. I mean, it's like, because it's never, to me, it never seems to be the reaction never seems to be in balance with the question. It's more of something that's going on personally. And I'm sure I do the same thing. I'm not picking on Gil. I'm just saying, coming to that place where we can really find that connection point to have a conversation where each of us has the opportunity to do the work, to do our own work, and to live into our own work, and possibly help us even realize what our work is to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's good.
I feel also as you're speaking, what came to me was the word codependency. For me, having that constant, as much as I can, awareness to know who I am, to keep that, and for Jason also, so that our needs are spoken, not always met, and yet heard. And that I keep that sense of myself where I have that knowing of who I am and what I'm doing, without feeling it has to be because of Jason, or that for Jason it has to be because of me. So maybe that might come into the realm of boundaries and getting and staying that I am. Jason staying in that knowing of who he is.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
We've lost Gil.
Lost Gil. It's too much for him.
Yeah.
So the other thing that comes up for me, like, because I see Myrna is saying, thanking you, Jason and Laura, that I will make it fun to have conversations. I like the idea to check in. I will delete the story that I am in trouble because I just realized this comes from childhood experiences. So yeah, beautiful. And
the idea of checking in. Yeah.
And
we got married again. Like we're doing this every year. We got married again. A year later, we really did kind of celebrate our wedding, renewed our vows again.
Yeah.
And we're doing it every
We're
year.
doing it every year.
Well, we renewed our vows 10 years, actually, with Susan and Christopher as our facilitators.
We did it with Bonnie and Reverend Verona.
Nice.
All right. See, everybody's on.
Yeah, and actually, I read about somebody who actually they renewed their vows every 10 years, but for real, like they re-upped. Like, do you want to stay in this? They had a commitment for 10 years. They were like, at the 10-year point, they would renew and say, do we continue for another 10? So it's interesting. And I think, the thing about I love your commitment, Christopher, and I love, knowing that there was no way to get off the boat kind of thing. and I know John has a question out there that I want to get to too, but I'm wondering too, what about when it really is time to get off the boat? I mean, like, how do you know, like, when you've either outgrown the situation or, like when you really, should we always try to live into it? Or is there a time where we go, you know what, this has taught me up until now, and it's in both of our interests to go our separate ways?
Well, for me, and also Christopher, I did that with my first marriage, and although I don't think I did it super consciously, I should say, because I wasn't really into the spiritual sort of kind of thing that I am in now, where I'm really looking at, well, what's the truth? But I still knew that it was over, and so did he. So actually, it ended up being that we talked to each other, and we just decided, okay, he was already going out with somebody else, so that was an obvious sort of thing. But like, okay. But, I really looked at it and I said, well, we got married really young, and, it's fine. It wasn't really fine. It was, I can't say it was wonderful, but it was one of the best things that I've ever done, to just say, okay, all right, well, we're going to split up. That's what you want. I'm not going to do anything. We luckily didn't own too many things together, so it was pretty easy that way. And just be willing to face, I have no idea what's next. That was probably the most scary part. Not letting him go, but going, oh my God, who am I going to be now?
Right.
It's like,
well, it's like what Christopher said, like, wherever you go, there you are. It's
there,
it's
but there I was there, still there. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I ended up actually starting a new teaching job, and had a wonderful support system, as it turned out. That was unexpected, but very well appreciated during that time.
I think Laura and Jason are trying to talk. Are you trying to talk?
Oh, no, I wondered if Jason had anything to say. It's really interesting, this part of the conversation. For me, I want to remember that I'm always at choice, and Jason is always at choice. Really embodying that, then I know in my heart that I'm not taking this for granted. Because it could be easy for me to say, yes, this is forever. Yes, this is on a soul level, it is. And on a physical level, that's how I want it to be in my heart, that we're together forever. And that we're both always at choice. And so that removes it adds in kind of okay, it allows me to question it. Is this what I want? Mm-hmm. And I want this. rather than taking Jason for granted or myself for granted.
You know what's interesting is I hear both sides, and Christopher described it as, you know, you burnt the boat, you're stuck on the island, this is it. And the other side is, I'm always at choice. But I think those are just two really different ways of kind of looking at the same thing. It's acknowledging that I'm here, and as long as I'm here, I'm making this choice to be here. I'm, you know.
Yes.
So I was yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
think
go ahead. Go ahead, Jason.
I think what Christopher said right at the beginning about expectation and trying wanting Susan to be a certain way or looking back at the past. I think that's an important thing. For me, I'm always very aware of allowing Laura to be herself. Allowing her to be who I was talking about. Making sure that I'm aware that I can't expect Laura to be something else. I'm completely in the same ball court with Christopher on that. And it's allowing Laura the space and myself the space to express ourselves in the way we need to feel that we're living our own life, even though we're together. We're not one person. So that's crucial. That's key for me, and that keeps it fresh, living in the present moment.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
I think we need to. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think we need to take a look at the different stages, where it's the coming together, it's the procreation, it's the kids, the raising the kids, and so on, and then it's the sannyasin or the spiritual exploration years, somewhere in the 60s and beyond, is where what marriage serves as a purpose has really morphs many times. And at this stage, it's more like harmonious family living, where families, it's like where you enjoy going to Costco together, or cleaning up the cat poop, or playing with the grandkids, and doing those kinds of things. And it's also knowing that as we age, one of us will become infirmed, or both of us, or how does that play out? And the idea of when the going gets tough, is it in sickness and in health? And that's what I mean by you can't get off the island. That my commitment to Susan is to, is to be there to the very end, and not knowing when that might be. I just lost my brother here a month ago. And this is not far from my mind every day. This kind of finality of life, which makes it so much more precious. And so it seems like an annoyance when I step back just for a moment is not an annoyance, but a kind of an endearing quirk that Susan has that I appreciate and love her for. And my brother could be annoying, but I miss that annoyingness, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So letting go of all of the small stuff, when put in a big perspective, it's like, phew, man, it's all small stuff. And there can be times when I can be angry with Susan, or I don't like her right now. And I know the same is true for her. You're being a jerk again. Well, yeah, I know I'm a jerk. I'm a bastard at times. I own that. And at the same time, that does not diminish my love for Susan or my devotion to her all the way to the end. And this is merely ripples on this pool of love. And I don't even know what that word means.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. That's
wow.
Yeah.
And I can't believe our time is up. That was like way too
just getting started,
right? Just getting started. but I'm so honored to be able to say that I had the Badger breakdown on my show.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Christopher.
Wow.
Really quickly. John has asked, what are your love languages? And I would love to, and what do you love that your partner does for you? Or I would even add, what would you like your partner to do for you? But share really quick, just go around and say, what do you think?
Is it?
Yeah, we did the test.
Okay.
Words.
Words.
Go, Jason.
Sorry, I don't understand what's happening.
Do you remember you did the test for the love languages?
No.
We did it together. He doesn't even remember the
No.
test. What do you think your love languages?
That's
you
okay.
didn't do
That's telling in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do
You're fluent in all languages.
Feed
your
me.
love language?
Oh yeah, I remember now. Yeah,
Now
yeah,
you
it was
remember.
touch. Yeah, touch.
Okay.
Touch.
Touch.
I say fun.
Tactile.
Yeah,
Fun.
yeah, I'd say fun.
Have fun.
Fun.
Have
Love
fun
is
and spread love. That's what you.
Nice. All right. And you, Gil, what do you say?
What do I say? Oh, I like words of praise.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. What about you?
I like it all.
You're amazing.
Touch me when you're giving me presents and praise me.
Yeah.
That's me. All right. So everybody, thank you so much. I'm so, as we end this month, I'm so happy to have had my friends here and just move into the next month with like such powerful thoughts. And yeah, I don't know. I just thank you all for rocking the love and being who you are in the world and really teaching us just by showing up and being who you are. I so appreciate you. And as Verona said, such passion, such kindness, and that you are all unique expressions of the magnificence. And yeah, it says we should do a master class in marriage.
All right.
Food for thought. So thank you. Gracias a todos. And we'll be back next week. So what should they do during this week?
They should rock the love.
That's right. Rock the love,
Yay.
everybody. And we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Make sure and look Laura up and send us notes if you want to get in touch with others. Bye.
Bye.